Et descended pluvia, et venerunt flumina, et flowerunt venti, et inruerunt in domum illam, et non cecidit, fundata enim erat super petram. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on rock. Lectiones Evangeliorum de Circulo Anni, a gospel lectionary, Tours, France, early 9th century, Chapin Library Manuscript, de Ricci No. 7, Lowe's, CLA Volume 11, No. 1668.
Massachusetts. The religion of this Commonwealth is established by their excellent constitution on a most liberal and tolerant plan. All persons of whatever religious profession or sentiments may worship God agreeably to the dictates of their own consciences, unmolested, provided they do not disturb the public peace. Adams, Hannah, A View of Religions in 2 parts, the whole collected from the best authors, ancient and modern, 2nd edition. Boston, John West Folsom, 1791. Archives Rare Books, 1794, 1.
Proposition 47, theorem. In any right-angled triangle, the square which is described upon the sides subtending the right angle is equal to the squares described upon the sides which contain the right angle. Simson, Robert, The Elements of Euclid, the first 6 books together with the 11th and 12th. Glasgow, Andrew Foulis, 1781. Archives Rare Books, 1794, number 258.
The function of the university is not simply to teach breadwinning or to furnish teachers for the public schools or to be a center of polite society. It is, above all, to be the organ of that fine adjustment between real life and the growing knowledge of life, an adjustment which forms the secret of civilization. Du Bois, William Edward Burghardt, The Souls of Black Folk, Essays and Sketches. Chicago, A.C. McClurg and Company, 1903. Sawyer, E185.5.D8.
There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. This traverse may the poorest take without oppressive toll. How frugal is the chariot that bears a human soul. Dickinson, Emily, The Complete Poems, edited by Thomas H. Johnson. Boston, Little, Brown and Company, 1960. Sawyer, PS 1540, 1960.
Number 3. A resolution respecting the distribution of certain public documents. Section 3. And be it further resolved that the journals and congressional documents heretofore deposited in the Library of Congress by the authority of the above cited resolutions shall be deposited with the Secretary of the Interior for distributions to such colleges, public libraries, atheneums, literary and scientific institutions, boards of trade, or public associations, as may be designated by him. Appendix to the Congressional Globe, containing speeches, important state papers, laws, etc. of the 3rd Session, 34th Congress, Washington, D.C., John C. Reeves, 1857. Sawyer, KF35U55.
Siri, would you give me a quote about libraries, please?
The universe, which others call the library, is composed of an indefinite, and perhaps infinite number of hexagonal galleries, with vast air shafts between, surrounded by very low railings. Jorge Luis. Labyrinths, Selected Stories and Other Writings. Edited by Donald A. Yates and James Ear B. New York, New Directions, 1962. Sawyer, PQ 7797, B635, A29, 1962. Enjoy your new library.
Good afternoon. I think I'll speak for myself rather than having Siri speak for me, but if I get lost, I'll ask for that help. Welcome to the dedication of the new Sawyer Library. This is a wonderful day. My name is Sarah Bolton. I'm the Dean of the College here at Williams, and I'm so pleased that you're all able to join us. I'd like to start by thanking Robert Yang, class of 15, and J.A. to the class of 17, for his beautiful performance of the Prelude to Bach's Suite for Solo Cello No. 4. I'd like to thank also each of the student readers. There'll be a memento program handed out at the end of the dedication, actually available at the circulation desk, so you can learn more about each of the readers and each of their readings, all of which come from the Williams Library collections in Sawyer, the College Archives, or the Chapin Library. This new library and its opening is an incredible moment for Williams, because this library embodies our ideals for liberal arts education. This year, Professors Aidan Dekel of Classics and Christopher Nugent of Asian Studies have created an interdisciplinary program called The Book, Unbound. It illuminates and celebrates the ways that the voices of scholars, authors, poets, scientists, playwrights, and musicians across history and around the world are recorded, and the way that those voices have been preserved and shared through books and through other media. This library, with its remarkable historical archives, its deep collections, and its Center for Educational Technology, places those voices directly, without boundary or impediment, into the hands and ears of our students, our faculty, and our staff. And in so doing, it gives them the tools not only to understand the world and human experience through what they read and hear, but also to understand and to work with one another. The Williams community has for several years engaged with an international project entitled The Human Library, which structures interviews and dialogue between individuals, treating each person's experiences and perspectives as a resource and as a text for others to learn from. That kind of learning is happening here as well, every day at Sawyer Library, as our students, faculty, and staff talk to one another in this amazing place. I get to glimpse it each night as I leave my office, which is right over there, and I walk under the lights that are streaming out of the library from behind. I can see it happening through the windows. I see the students, the faculty, and the staff studying, reading, talking, laughing, leaning their heads together, waving their hands, exchanging ideas, sometimes just getting up for a stretch. And every night I'm lifted by that beacon. I'm lifted and reminded of the tremendous power of bringing together these remarkable people right here, teaching and learning in this space with these resources and these voices, both voices from the present moment and voices from distant places and from long ago. The book is unbound here indeed, and powerfully so. The centerpieces of our program today are remarks from President Adam Falk and from David Spadafora, class of 1972, who is president of the Newberry Library. So first, it's my tremendous pleasure to welcome President Falk.
Welcome. So in the history of Williams, we have built and dedicated a number of remarkable libraries. Lawrence, built in 1847, when the college's books were few in number and mostly theological. Stetson, built in 1920 as a grand yet functional library for the gentleman scholar. The original Sawyer Library, which opened in 1975 and was designed primarily to house vast collections and provide space for individual study. And the Scow Science Library, which since 2000 has been at the heart of the Science Center, a destination for group study and research within and across scientific disciplines. Each of these represented, for their time, the most modern thinking about the nature of teaching and learning at the college and the role of books in those endeavors. Each represented, at its time, a kind of opening up, opening access to books, opening the library for study, opening the library for technology, opening spaces for collaboration. And so it is today with the new Sawyer Library. And yet, I believe that there is something different here. Because in imagining our new library, we have been unafraid to look back, as well as forward, to the very best of our traditions, as well as to our sense for what the future holds. We see this in the architecture, in the ways it honors the old and integrates it with the new. We see this in the close proximity of the Chapin Library of Rare Books and the Center for Educational Technology, each so valuable by itself, and yet potentially so much more powerful together. We see it in the opportunities that Sawyer presents, both for deep individual exploration of expertly curated materials and for rich collaboration and interdisciplinary work. The future modalities of intellectual work are now upon us, but the traditional ones are far from obsolete. Sawyer Library is, most fundamentally, the academic crossroads of Williams. And as such, it is truly the heart of the college, reflecting and embodying our deepest ideals. Named in honor of Jack Sawyer, Williams's 11th president, the library stands as a tribute not only to the man, but also to the idea he so firmly believed in, that the college must simultaneously espouse the values of the liberal arts education and steadfastly evolve so that it may remain relevant in the world and contribute to the greater good. The Sawyer Library we dedicate today enables exploration, fosters understanding, and provides critical context. And it is designed to be flexible, to meet the changing needs of our community and to fit the nature of teaching and learning in the future, aspects of which we simply cannot now imagine. And of course, these are the values that underlie the entire liberal arts project. Humility about the limits of our knowledge, flexibility in our response to a changing world, understanding that training our minds as tools is more important than filling them with facts. Sawyer Library exists to train minds, not simply to archive facts. So too does Williams. This library and the community of students and faculty that it will nourish and sustain for the century to come are our future. It is the very idea that is Williams, manifested in brick, glass, slate, and steel. On behalf of the entire college, thank you to all who played a part in this wonderful project, to all of you who shared a vision for what it could be, and whose talents, tireless work, and thoughtful guidance transformed the dream into a reality. It is now my distinct honor to introduce David Spadafora, Williams class of 1972, president and librarian of Chicago's Newberry Library. Across a career dedicated to education and learning, he has served on the faculties of Yale and Lake Forest College and as dean of the faculty and president of Lake Forest. An historian of European thought, David presides over one of the world's premier independent libraries in the humanities, stewarding its rich collections in support of scholarship and the broadening of knowledge and understanding. David.
Thank you very, very much, President Falk. And let me say that it is a great honor for me to be able to participate in this memorable and notable occasion. Many here today will have seen the Amazon advertising earlier this summer for the company's latest Kindle product. It is, these ads tell us, just like a library. Fewer of you will have watched the YouTube videos of American hockey and English football games where small groups of young male voices begin to sing the words, just like a library, over and over again to the tune of the La Donna è mobile, canzone from Verdi's Rigoletto. My wife has urged me not to sing this to you. Across 41 years of a marriage which would not have happened without Williams, I have learned mostly to heed her advice, which I'm sure in this case derives exclusively from the fact that I'm not a tenor. At any rate, I presume that these outbursts of sporting song are a form of taunting reaction to the fact that the opposition crowd, with little to cheer about, has gone relatively quiet, creating the auditory atmosphere of, well, a library. As we stand here today to inaugurate this splendid new and old library, I want to highlight 3 points suggested by the Kindle tagline and the singing. First of all, devices that store books in digital form are indeed just like physical libraries in one notable way. Libraries have, and always have had, collections, and a Kindle also provides, or can provide, its user with a collection. Nowadays, in fact, we often use the word library as a synonym for the word collection. And the collection can be of books, iTunes music, or DNA fragments. This usage is really not new. Around 1700, there were already many libraries without walls in France, principally printed collections or compilations of texts of similar nature, or inventories of such texts, all bearing titles, often beginning with the word bibliothèque. It may be a technological leap from these multi-volume publishing and cataloging projects to the online Digital Public Library of America, or the World Digital Library of our own time, but it is not really a fundamental conceptual one. These libraries without walls have for long had their uses that are undoubtedly becoming increasingly important now. But second, although libraries without walls offer collections to their users, libraries with walls offer much more. They present to us carefully developed systems and highly cultivated expertise that together multiply what a reader can do with a collection. These systems and this expertise make possible discovery of individual relevant items to be read. They also identify relationships between and among these individual items, as well as with many other such items. In short, they give library users the chance to turn mere static information into dynamic knowledge. Faculty and graduate students often speak of the serendipity of shelf browsing that has enabled them unexpectedly to find books that are housed near a book they already knew they wanted. This seemingly good fortune actually is made feasible by the existence of classification schemes and shelving arrangements, these being among the simplest but most important bibliographical systems crafted and deployed by library professionals. Near the other end of the systems spectrum are manuscript finding aids, whose descriptions and analyses allow even moderately trained users to navigate intelligently within special groupings of manuscript and archival materials. Such powerful discovery systems are missing from products like Kindles. They are often disappointingly primitive, even in vast searchable aggregations of digital text like Google Books. But remarkably useful and usable discovery systems do exist in libraries with walls. They tend to expand our horizons rather than narrow them like many Amazon and Google-style search algorithms that are also aimed at discovery. And they exist and can be made available to library readers precisely because of the highly cultivated expertise that I mentioned before, namely the people who assemble collections and provide services to those collections' users. The act of assembly is an act of choices. A rich, useful collection does not just happen. At an institution like Williams, it grows because professional library staff, as well as faculty, have been planting and cultivating it over generations by carefully making selection decisions of critical importance. The books here in this library, purchased and given, reflect the educational commitment, academic interests, and bookish passion of those various assemblers. People like H. Richard Archer, custodian of the Chapin Library for 2 decades, including my student days when I worked in Chapin on the Williams copy of Samuel Butler's manuscript notebooks. Meanwhile, the services that accompany the books assembled in a library such as this one, that allow those books to be discovered and connected to each other by students and faculty, reflect the deeply dedicated skills of reference librarians, catalogers, conservators, and other library staff members. They are the unsung heroes of many a research paper, senior essay, or faculty book. How often must Miss Juanita Terry, ex-Marine and many years Williams reference librarian, have been thanked in prefaces and acknowledgments for the tough but smart bibliographical love she bestowed on researchers like me. How often in the future, as libraries move through the revolution in which they now find themselves, will Ms. Terry's technically sophisticated successors be full partners with Williams faculty members and students, and with peers elsewhere, in collaborative projects that will reveal important knowledge currently hidden in this and in other collections. A collection by itself is inert. A collection seeded, fed, cultivated, and then presented by rare bookmen like Mr. Archer and reference experts like Ms. Terry is something living, a library in full. My third and last point. When we put such a living collection within walls, we have more than books in a building with a staff and readers. We have a place. Williams' new library has been situated, designed, and configured to this end, with savvy and with sense. Here is a centrally located place to which students will be drawn and are being drawn as by a beacon from inside its glass walls. Here they will find and use, side by side, physical books, digital simulacra, and technology, including technology that connects this place to other libraries and classrooms far away. Here they will flock for group project work and class meetings that employ library materials, because much space is intentionally provided for these activities. Because rare and special collection materials are integrated with everything else and expected to be used for education and research. And not least, here students will come to talk with faculty in their offices, as I did so many times with mentors like Robert Waite, Dudley Ballman, and Francis Oakley. This library will serve the college as an intellectual commons, and rightly so. For we need a commons if we are to work together, students with students, students with faculty, both with library staff, on the problems posed and opportunities offered by proliferating information and rapidly evolving knowledge. Our friends singing Just Like a Library may not have known it, but the Rigoletto canzone reveals a theme of inconstancy, changeability. Knowledge, too, is not stable. In significant respects, it is actually the changing of knowledge over time to which a great college's library and a great college address themselves inevitably. Here can be asked not just the question, what do we know today, but also, what did we know yesterday, and what will we know tomorrow? Here, reading, research, and dialogue, founded on a collection brought to life by systems, experts, and teachers, will yield new knowledge and perhaps even new ways of knowing. This is just like a library. It is, in fact, just what we want from a real library. The people here in this library will actually have lots to cheer and plenty of noise to make. It will be the noise of learning. Congratulations, Williams, on the wonderful new Sawyer Library.
Thank you so much, David. That was terrific. Those were really thoughtful and inspiring remarks to launch us into this new space. They leave me even more grateful to the hundreds of individuals whose brilliance, vision, persistence, skill, and generosity have allowed this library to become part of our lives here at this time. My thanks also go now to those whose work have made this celebration possible, and I'd like to remind you as we come to a conclusion to be sure to get your copy of the memorial program that will describe the pieces that the students read and who the students are. Those are available back at the circulation desk. And please do stay to enjoy the library open house, which will run tonight until 6 p.m. There are also refreshments, which will be in the forum, which is the place where things are green, downstairs behind all of you. So just keep descending until it's all the way green and you will have come to the refreshments. We wish you a wonderful afternoon in the library. We hope you'll come back often. Thank you so much.